Hey guys, what's up? I'm Anjali and you're watching More Than a Conqueror, and as you can see, our panel looks a little bit different today. Normally we have four beautiful ladies talking about issues that affect women everywhere, especially those who are have just accepted Jesus and who are walking out that faith walk. But today we have amazing guys who are here to talk about one of our favorite words, relationships. So, we're gonna dive in, and I have so many great questions. I'm so excited. So we have introductions first. Nelson.
Hi.
Hi, Nelson. Carlos.
Hello.
We have David.
Hello.
And Kenneth.
Hi.
My husband, Kenneth.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So thank you so much for being here. Really excited to have you. First off, I just want to start things off kind of strong here. A lot of women have questions and they want to ask men of God and they want to get some really sincere answers. So one of the things that I've been asked by certain women is, we've all dated the world's way, or many of us have dated in the world before, and now that we've accepted Jesus Christ and we're walking that faith walk, dating looks differently. So can you just kind of touch on that a little bit, how dating looks for you now that you're walking it out with Jesus?
I think for me, we use a lot more Christianese, like describing the stages of a relationship. For instance, in the world there's like the talking phase, there's the dating phase, and then there's actually like boyfriend, girlfriend, and then there's even serious levels of that.
Right.
And I found even just the phrasing, the words we use to describe it are a lot different. I find that like with Christian relationships, it's hard to explain the dating phase or the talking phase. I think when we're in the talking phase, we kind of end up doing more group dates and things like that, and that looks totally different in the Christian world than it does in the real world. I think one of the biggest differences for me was that in the world, like pre-Jesus, for me at least, it was completely okay to date multiple girls at the same time while I was in the talking or dating phase.
Okay.
And, that didn't really feel appropriate for me in that phase of Christian dating or dating, God's way, just because I felt like I really wanted to honor my now girlfriend in that stage of our relationship.
Gotcha.
and really give her that exclusivity before we were really kind of there as far as boyfriend, girlfriend in worldly terms.
Okay.
But just felt like the more honoring thing to do.
That's awesome. And let me rewind a little bit from what Nelson just said. When you're dating God's way, there are things that are different. How do you know what's different? Who tells you?
I think that for me, I didn't grow up dating God's way or following God. I grew up being very good at dating the world's way. So you learn that you're doing it. I learned how to do it wrong for a long time. So I was really good at doing it wrong. So what I did was I watched other people who were in that stage. At the time, there were people who are now married, couples that I look up to and admire, that I was watching in the dating stage while I was in the single stage.
Okay.
And just watching how they walked that out, how they honored the person that they were with, how they celebrated the person they were with, how they made their relationship known to others, and just the way they interacted with one another. So it's like anything else. If you don't know, you find someone who's doing it well and you ask them. But I think that can be a struggle for, just speaking for myself as a guy coming from the world. In the world's view, men don't even ask for directions a lot of time. But in following Christ, you have to, I'll just say, I got GPS, but in following Christ, being a follower, seeking wisdom, there's so many scriptures that talk about seeking wisdom, asking the Holy Spirit to help guide you, and just having mentors. I never had a mentor before I was following Christ, because I was just like, well, I'll figure it out. I'm a guy, I got this, I'll make it work. So I think that's the biggest thing, is realizing that you have resources by the people who are around you and using those resources.
Okay. Carlos, what do you think about that? Did you find it important to have mentorship when you first started dating God's way?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, both answers were phenomenal. I agree 100%. And for me, same thing. When I dated prior to Jesus, there was no accountability. There wasn't anybody able to ask.
Yeah.
Also, if you think about it, the deep relationships that I have with some men, I don't even have with my own dad. So those things are the questions. Now I do, but back in the day, I couldn't ask my dad or my mom certain questions. So when stronger men of God, I've seen them do what they do, and I like the relationship, I like where they're at, and I want to aspire to that. Absolutely, and it took intentionality from my part to actually come up to them and ask them, hey, would you be willing to share some of that wisdom and advice with me? Usually older men, but not always. I mean, wisdom comes at all ages.
That's great.
But I like the stage that they were at,
Gotcha.
and I wanted to be there. So absolutely, having accountability was huge. Someone to talk to and be real. You know, when not having a mask.
That's important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Have those tough conversations, and they have the right to. I earned the right to speak into their lives. They earned the right to speak into mine. Then we can actually. I loved when they called me out on something because that just made me better.
That's awesome.
You loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, helped me improve.
Awesome.
If you didn't show me, I think I want to improve always, and sometimes I just don't know. So if someone telling me, then I can get some guidance on that and go back and
Cool.
work on it.
Awesome. David, what do you think?
Well, I grew up in the church, but I didn't date God's way. So I can call myself a Christian probably going back to my teens, but even though I was following Christ, I wasn't dating God's way, I guess you'd say, if that's the term we're going to say. So I'll just be real, I had the standard was anything outside of sex was okay. And so I did not lead well in a lot of relationships, and I used women. And there was one point where I got in a relationship with a woman, and she wasn't a Christian, so I thought, well, she'll become one. She's a great person. And so we got into a relationship, and she was amazing. She lived a life that was very honoring, and she helped people, she volunteered and everything, but she never became a Christian. And so 2 years after that relationship started, I had lost my virginity to her, and I had crossed boundaries I didn't think I was going to cross because I was in love. And thank goodness my pastor back home helped talk sense to me with my mother, and he said, you can go down this road and you can marry this woman, but if you want God's best for you, it's going to be somebody who's a Christian and who's following God and loves God and is committed. So you can pull out that tooth quick and break it off, or you can slowly twist it out, and it's going to bleed and hurt a lot more.
Yeah.
I'll fast forward a lot, but learning to date God's way and wanting the best in my life now, I think it's what they said. It's finding a good mentor who's done it well, and then I think it's even going further into looking at what good people say, good pastors say, looking at podcasts, reading, just becoming a student of how to do it well.
So good.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Awesome.